Part 104. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 1031. Lu Ligan's 8 projects started construction at the same time. The splendid Qianzhong in Qianzhong New Town and the West Lake Throne in Wushan are obviously far from opening time. Now they can only beat the gong first and use the construction site. The start of construction has stirred up the atmosphere nearby and brought the focus and direction of public opinion. Construction has started on the most expensive piece of land in the country at the foot of Wushan Mountain and by the West Lake. Just let it slow down and heat up the surrounding housing prices, because the media has already revealed that the West Lake Throne that will be launched by then will sell for more than 20,000 per square meter. This is an astonishing number, but if you talk too much about the astonishing number, it will not be astonishing. Later, everyone seemed to agree that the West Lake Throne could be worth 20,000, and the West Lake Throne might actually be worth 20,000. At the same time, the surrounding housing prices are rising almost every day. The West Lake Throne just across the wall costs 20,000. What reason do we have not to increase the price? Their prices are rising day by day, getting closer to the figure of 20,000. When they all reached 20,000 yuan, Lu Ligan thought that West Lake Throne could be opened for 25,000 yuan. Don't you think my house should be 5,000 yuan more expensive than other houses, especially West Lake Throne? Shouldn't the most expensive land have the best quality houses and the most expensive housing prices? It seems that Throne of West Lake is going down this road, so Lu Ligan is not in a hurry. He will make it slowly and make it into a high-quality product. The hard work he spends every day will be lost in the price of the property. We will bring it back in one pot when the time comes. Talk to Lao Tan. Different from the front-runner West Lake Throne, splendid Qianzhong just comes in to make a fuss and then follows. Its size is too big, 500,000 square meters. It is impossible for it to be the front-runner. You see, during long-distance running, are there any fat people who run at the front? It can only become a beneficiary after the land and housing prices in Qianzhong New City increase. After the construction of splendid Qianzhong started, as expected by Lu Ligan, there were several plots of land nearby that had been idle for several years. After they saw the construction of splendid Qianzhong started, they seemed to wake up from a nap and began to start work. Mr. Han's words are indeed correct. The government is not a brand. Behind it are real people. It will also have the tempers that people have. After seeing so many construction sites started, the Qianzhong New Town Management Committee and the Hangzhou City government also felt that the time was ripe and needed to speed up the construction of infrastructure, including the municipal government building under construction. Unknowingly, they also accelerated the process. This gives people the illusion that Qianzhong New Town is going to be popular. This illusion made all the owners of the construction sites excited and felt a fire in their hearts. It also made the land acquisition and storage center suddenly include 5 pieces of land in Qianzhong New City in the second land recruitment. During the auction, when setting the starting price, Lu Ligan's auction price was directly used as a reference, and it was set at 680, which was 80 higher than the price Lu Ligan paid. Lu Ligan was overjoyed when he heard the news. Have you forgotten that after adjusting the floor area ratio, my actual price is only more than 400? To learn more, the floor area ratio of these 5 plots of land in Qianzhong New City this time has reached 4.0, leaving no space for you. Lu Ligan understands that Mr. Han is right again. Although Lu Ligan and his company are still laying foundations for the remaining 6 pieces of land, Tan Shahan suggested that the Jingxiu Heiwan next to the Jingxiu Home and the splendid Huading in Zayawai will be opened soon. Knowing that house prices will definitely rise, it would be a bit of a loss to open the market immediately, but they need to withdraw funds quickly because the second phase of the Hangzhou City government's land auction is about to begin. Don't they still have 4 projects? Those 4 projects can be put in a later step and depends on the market situation. And now they are speculating on the concept of housing in the school district of Jinxiu Heiwan. The time is just right. The most important thing is that Lu Ligan said that they should beware of the government raising the threshold for selling houses. If that happens, their funds will become tight. Tan Shahen signed an agreement with the Hubei branch of China Construction Bank. They made the first housing mortgage loan in the whole of Hangzhou and even the whole of Zhejiang in Jinxiu Harmony Garden. Almost when China Construction Bank started to provide housing mortgage loans, Mr. Chiao from Shenzhen Angzhen Trust also came. The purpose of Mr. Chiao's coming was to transfer all mortgage business to Shenzhen Development Bank. At the same time, Shenzhen Development Bank also directly Heiwan and Splendid Huading started new housing mortgage loan business. In this way, they have two banks for home buyers to choose. Without Mr. Chiao, Lu Ligan would no longer engage in matters involving the only designated financial institution. Mr. Chiao came to Hangzhou for another purpose, which was to discuss other cooperation matters with Lu Ligan. Mr. Chiao, Lu Ligan, and Tan Shahen said that the current overall situation in the country is one of loosening and tightening. The loosening is for banks, from loan scale, loan interest to the simplification of loan procedures, and the tightening is for financial institutions like ours. In fact, to put it bluntly, the purpose is to protect the bank. Otherwise, how can those fools and lazy people in the bank do the same business as us? Now in our area, not only the direct provision of housing mortgage loans has been stopped, but also the direct issuance of directional entrusted loans as before has been stopped. It is said that it is necessary to clean up and rectify, and it is said that there are many problems exposed in this area. In fact, it's not just because we are stepmothers. In terms of problems, the bank's problems are bigger than ours. Do you know how many non-performing assets the four major banks, China Development Bank of Canada, have? It may scare you to death. More than 1 trillion yuan is already being prepared. 4 asset management companies will be established next year to take over the non-performing assets divested by these banks. If you can't do anything, what should you do? Lu Ligan asked. Isn't this coming to you? If this doesn't work, we'll take a detour. Mr. Chiao said, I'm here this time to discuss the issuance of corporate bonds with you. Corporate bonds? What do you mean? Tan Shahen asked. To put it most simply, it means using your company's IOU to borrow money, which in turn is actually a loan. Mr. Chiao said, the most important thing about the issuance of corporate bonds is that someone believes in your company's solvency. If no one buys your bonds, it is equivalent to waste paper. The good thing for you now is that I have already communicated with them. MSCAI and Mr. Yang know your company and your business capabilities relatively well. They will be interested in purchasing. In foreign countries, this is generally called private placement, that is, the procedure of raising funds from specific objects through private agreements is relatively simple and convenient. If there is private placement, is there also public placement? Lu Ligan asked. Yes, the public offering procedure is very troublesome. It needs to be approved. After approval, anyone can buy it. There is no specific investor. If it is not approved, it has hit the red line and committed the crime of illegal financing. Illegal financing. The most fundamental point is, which is to raise funds from unspecified groups of people. Although private placement is not approved, it is from specific people, so it is not illegal. Mr. Chiao was talking to Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen. The two of them were confused. Tan Shahen asked, we are not short of money now, why do we do this? Mr. Chiao laughed, there is no company that is not short of money. Companies will always be short of money. If you are not short of money, it just means that your company is not big enough. For example, now all over the country, land is being auctioned and listed. Objectively speaking, is this no obstacle to your real estate company? Your company in Hangzhou going to Shanghai to get projects is no different from you in Hangzhou. Mr. Chiao said, Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan both thought of the Shanghai company at the last auction. It is true that your Shanghai company can come to our Hangzhou to get land, and of course we can also go to Shanghai. In the past, if you wanted to go to Shanghai, of course you had to meet people first, otherwise you would have trouble moving forward. Now you don't need to. You can just go to an auction, buy a piece of land, and then directly set up a company. Mr. Chiao said, although your company is not small in scale, if you want to become a national company, you must go out of Hangzhou and expand your business to other cities. If you don't go, others will come. If you want to become a national company, you need to acquire land in Shenzhen, Shanghai, Nanjing, Hefei and Wuhan. Can you still say, Mr. Tan, that you are not short of money? Tan Shahan shook her head. If that's the case, the money will definitely not be enough. But it must be like that, otherwise, as I said, if you don't go to other people's territory, they will come to your territory. If you can't quickly strengthen your own strength and make the company bigger, I don't mean to say it's ugly. Think about it for yourself. Is it possible that you will be squeezed out by others in Hangzhou soon and won't be able to get a piece of land? Mr. Chiao asked. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan thought about it and realized that this was really possible. The reason why they were able to get so much land at the last auction was not because they were stronger than others. The auction was for the highest bidder to win. If someone kept bidding against them, I can't get so much. Mr. Chiao looked at them and said, you can't defend, you can only attack. To attack, you must have such strength and capital. This corporate bond is the best way to expand your strength and capital tool. Mr. Chiao, can you be more specific? Lu Ligan became interested. He thought about the uncomfortable feeling when he entered the venue and other people were holding up their placards, but he didn't dare to hold up his placards. He thought about the two people who kept bidding, and finally he said to others, bang friends, let's get together stick. That was really more embarrassing than dying. Lu Ligan also thought of himself, holding the auction sign, the joy of conquering all directions. Mr. Chiao was right, you can't defend, you can only attack. When did I, Lu Ligan, not work hard? How can a whip move in a hurry? If it's a loan, we can go directly to a bank to get a loan. This year, we also repaid a 500 million loan from ICBC ahead of schedule, Tan Shahan said. There is a difference, Mr. Tan. Mr. Chiao said, for a loan, do you need collateral or a guarantor? I have checked that your 500 million loan from ICBC was mortgaged with Hangcheng Center. Zhang guaranteed by Chen Company. Let me ask you, your land in the center of Hangzhou has been mortgaged. What should you do when you want to apply for a real estate certificate? Do you still need to find 500 million to release his item? At that time, if you don't have 500 million in your account, where will you find 500 million? Of course, you will say, you will get it after the house is sold. But the prerequisite for selling is to release the other items first. Otherwise, CCB won't be able to make a mortgage, right? Unlike us, we can be flexible. You can't sell the house here, and you don't have the money over there to go in and release him. Is it just a matter of beating him to death? Tan Shahan thought about it. If this was the case, the situation mentioned by Mr. Chiao would really happen. Tan Shahan nodded. Thank you Songzhou. Exercise, Book Friend 201912170332388847, Chu Chang Jun, why can't you change your name, the Dingli Blade of the Country, Book Friend 201811241834235518 for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you a nice weekend. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 1032. Mr. Chiao, does this corporate bond not require mortgage or guarantee? Lu Ligan asked. Mr. Chiao said, this corporate bond is said to be a loan, like a loan, but more like it? I think it is like an investment. In a word, it is a long-term holding with a fixed return. Like this time, what we want to do is a 10-year corporate bond with an annual return of 12%. Although the interest rate is higher than that of bank loans, its conditions are not as harsh as banks. Bondholders invest money in your company, but they do not participate in the specific management of your company. How the money is used is your business. They only follow the bond offer and receive returns every year. There is one thing about it. Returns will require priority over dividends to shareholders, which means that if you have money, you must first pay their interest before you can distribute dividends. If the bonds mature and you redeem them on time, the relationship between the two parties will be suspended. Of course, there is also an extreme situation, that is, if you go bankrupt due to poor management, during the company's bankruptcy liquidation, they can give priority to recovering the principal. Gold. In this way, do you think it is more like a share investment without actual personnel stationed? Luligan and Tan Shahan nodded, understanding what was going on with the corporate bonds. Luligan asked again about the mortgage and guarantee. Mr. Chiao said, because for them, what matters more is the operation of the company itself. It depends on whether your operation can guarantee their annual income, so they do not need guarantees from other units. If they provide guarantees, everyone knows that it is easy to form counter guarantees, and continuous guarantees invisibly increase business risks. In order to reduce risks, they will require corresponding mortgages for corporate bonds, but it is not a physical mortgage, but your company, plus an appropriate premium, will be evaluated by a third party, and then used as a mortgage for the consideration shares. This is something that banks can't do, right? Banks don't accept equity pledges from companies at all. Even if a company like yours takes 50% of the equity and borrows 100,000 yuan, the bank will not accept it, but it can be done here. By the way, in order to avoid legal risks, the only two people who packaged and purchased your corporate bonds were Miss Cai and Mr. Yang. But when they go to overseas markets, they will split your corporate bonds and sell them to other investors. This is their business and has nothing to do with you. Anyway, your bonds cannot be redeemed in advance, including the payment of annual interest. You give it to them, and they then transfer it to the following customers. Mr. Chiao, if we want to do it, what should we do? Luligan asked. Simple, you and I sign an agreement, and our company will be the issuing unit of your corporate bonds. Although it is a private placement, our country does not allow companies like yours to issue corporate bonds by themselves. They still have to go through financial institutions. This can be regarded as a child for us stepmothers, so we can keep food to eat, and we will do the other procedures, Mr. Chiao said. Then can we redeem it in advance? Tan Shahan asked. For example, if our company has money and no longer needs the money, can we repay the money in advance? Mr. Chiao smiled and said, I didn't say that you will always be short of money. Believe me, it will be more and more scarce. As the company gets bigger, it will rarely be richer, but the liabilities and owner's equity will be bigger. Well, Mr. Tan, if you are considering paying back the money, it is better to consider new investments. Of course, if you are willing to pay a fee, you can redeem it in advance. Tan Shahan smiled and said, I don't owe so much money, so I feel panicked. Then if you turn this money into a land bank and put it there, the land will increase in value at a rate of 20% every year. In other words, if you use this money to do projects, the project will have an annual growth rate of 23%. Are you still panicking for a reward of 10? Mr. Chiao said with a smile, when the time comes, I'm afraid you will think the money is too little. Tan Shahan's face turned slightly red, and she said, if that's the case, of course I won't panic. So whether it's your current land or projects, are there any returns lower than this? Mr. Chiao asked. Luligan and Tan Shahan thought about it, and there really were no cultural relics protection units that were not allowed to be developed except those bought by Luligan. While the three of them were talking, Meng Ping arrived. He came specifically to participate in the second state-owned land auction in Hangzhou City tomorrow. He signed up with his company and paid a deposit, but he had no intention of auctioning the land. I came to watch the fun, or to give Lu Ligan a sideline. After Mr. Chiao and Meng Ping exchanged greetings, it was almost time for dinner. Mr. Chiao told Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen, "Please think about this. I will go back to the hotel first, get off the plane and come here directly." Lu Ligan said, "Yes, I will ask the driver to take you there, and I will pick you up for dinner later." After Mr. Chiao left, Lu Ligan told Meng Ping the purpose of Mr. Chiao's coming. Meng Ping said, "Take it." "Why not take it if you have the money?" "I have no projects and no land now. If I had, I would stalk him. Even if you fight." Take it, you don't have to pay it back," Tan Shahen said. Meng Ping looked at Lu Ligan and laughed. Lu Ligan knew that this guy must be thinking in his heart, and he was really saying that his wife was the head of the family. Lu Ligan also laughed. "Tan Shahen, you have to calculate it this way," Meng Ping said. "Now you take their 500 million to buy 5 pieces of land. Once you buy it, you don't have to do anything, just leave it there. In a few years, you will 2 pieces of land are worth 500 million, so you made hundreds of millions easily." "What if the land depreciates?" Tan Shahen asked. "Then will we lose hundreds of millions?" "It's impossible. I've thought about this clearly. Housing prices may fall, and it's our developers' profits that fall. But this land is unlikely to depreciate." "Don't worry," Meng Ping said. "Your statement is inconsistent with economic laws. As long as a commodity appreciates in value, it may depreciate. How can there be a commodity that only rises but never falls?" Tan Shahen insisted. "That's because you made a mistake. This land is not a commodity at all," Meng Ping said. "You were confused by the illusion. It was an auction, the transfer procedures, and the land transfer fee. It was fake. You think it's a commodity transaction, but it's not at all." "What is that?" "Commodities are commodities that can be freely exchanged. Can you exchange land freely? You can sell it to me, and I can sell it to Qian Fang. It seems that it can be exchanged, but this is an illusion. What we are doing is just the exchange at the end. Second hand, third hand, and fourth hand, is also fake and fake, which is very exciting to watch. But at the source, when I buy a piece of clothing, I am the buyer, Zhang Chen is the seller, and he produced the clothing. This is a typical commodity transaction. At the land auction, it seems that you are the buyer, but what about the seller? The land collection and storage center is definitely not the seller. Where do they have any land? Their land was expropriated. So who is the seller? Are they the farmers whose land was expropriated? Don't forget, what they transferred was only the land use rights, and they didn't own the land. Let's see, can't they find the real seller? If there is no seller and no free trade, you can't go beyond the collection and storage center and go directly to the farmers to buy it. Can you call it a commodity?" Tan Shahen was speechless by Meng Ping's question, but when she thought about it, what Meng Ping said was true. Meng Ping continued, "Including the fact that we bought land, we said we bought it, but the ownership of the land is not ours. We built a house and then sold it to the home buyer. Why does the house have ownership, but the land still does not? Only usage rights? To put it bluntly, this land still belongs to the country, so the question is, we buy it back and forth, but the ownership does not change. What we buy is actually the country's stuff. Is this called commodity trading? No matter how we sell it, the land still belongs to the state. Now, even how to trade and the rules of the transaction are set by the state. We are not trading, we are just playing a wealth transfer game within the scope allowed by the game rules. Things belong to the state, and the rules are set by the state. Now, Even how much land is released each year is determined by the local government. It can be said that in this entire game, the government is the biggest bookmaker, and it also controls the right to modify and make rules. Do you think it will devalue what belongs to you? It's too easy to control land prices. Well, there is a lot of land now, so I will release less this year. I will release it again when the stock land on the market is almost absorbed. As long as the price of land is at risk of falling, I will release it again, collect it, not release it, wait until the demand is released, and then release it. Let's see, is it easy for the local government to control land prices? Like a few years ago, when use rights could still be freely exchanged, the land market still looked like a commodity. Now, with the collection and storage center, the commodity attribute of land has been completely stripped away. So, Tan Shahan, don't worry, as long as the local government is not willing, it is impossible for land prices to fall. Even if housing prices are controlled, it will be the profits of developers, not their own profits. Local governments are not philanthropists. The profit-seeking nature is no less than ours. As Meng Ping spoke, Lu Ligan thought about what Mr. Han said about the attributes of government people. Indeed, as long as they are people, they will protect their own interests, and the same goes for local governments. You know, this local government has money. Well, there is an individual in the back who also shares interests and competes with local governments for profits. There is also a good reason, which is to ensure the maintenance and appreciation of state-owned assets. In the entire real estate chain, developers are the most high-profile and look the most arrogant, but in fact, they are the most likely to be sacrificed and can be sacrificed. The only ones who will be applauded if they are sacrificed are actually developers. At both ends of the chain, local governments have the responsibility to protect their territory and have the obligation to prevent the loss of state-owned assets. As long as the number of home buyers is large, it will become the benefit of the overwhelming majority of the people. As for developers, who can you count? All you can represent are your own interests, right? If I don't sacrifice you, who will I sacrifice? Tan Shahen was also convinced by Meng Ping. She said, okay, Lao Meng, what you said makes sense, so what? Meng Ping said with a smile, so I, who have seen through it all, should be cautious. Those of you who still want to continue playing in it, just let go. If you have land, just take it. The land is not Zhang Chen's clothes. After one piece is sold, another can be produced. The government also has to adhere to the spirit of the contract. They will not take it back within the 40, 50, or 70 years they promised you. They can't take it back here, and there will be new land for sale there. They can only get it by spreading the city bigger and bigger like a pie. The suburbs you see now will all be what they will be in 5 or 10 years in the city center. The land that seems expensive now will be repaid in 10 years, by the way, and the corporate debt will be 10 years, and 10 years from now, you can probably repay it with just one piece of land. Thank you, Tin Soldier, for reading the book every day and ranking third from top to bottom for the reward. Thank you Shifangxian and Songzhou for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1033. This time the auction was still held at the World Trade Center next to the Huanglong Sports Center. When Lu Ligan and the others arrived, they were shocked. The hall of the World Trade Center was as lively as a vegetable market. It may also be the reason for the second auction. From a news perspective, it was not as eye-catching as the first one, so this time, not many reporters came, and none of them came with a camera. Even the Hangcheng Daily Su Wenhui did not come, but sent his apprentice over. When he saw Lu Ligan and the others, he came over to greet them. The four of them, Lu Ligan, stood there and heard the accents of southern and northern accents around them. Some spoke Shanghainese, some spoke northeastern, and some spoke Cantonese. Apparently, many companies from other places came. Lu Ligan asked Su Wenhui's apprentice, "Do you know how many companies there are this time?" "It seems to be more than 130 people," Su Wenhui's apprentice said. "So much?" "Yes, there are some in Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou." Lu Ligan saw Director Chu walking through the crowd. His face was flushed and he seemed a little excited because of the scene in front of him. Lu Ligan grabbed him and asked him, "Director Chu, where did so many people come from?" Director Chu chuckled, looked left and right, pulled Lu Ligan to a corner where no one was, lowered his voice and said to Lu Ligan, "Mr. Lu, be careful, there is a rival, most of these people are from out of town. Yes, the company is quite famous. Let me tell you, even Vank from Shenzhen is here." Lu Ligan was surprised. Even Vank came? Vank is the undisputed leader in China's real estate industry and was the first to do so. When Lu Ligan and others first started struggling in Haikan, Vank was already doing very well in Shenzhen. However, Lu Ligan and others failed in Hainan. Vank had almost no involvement in Hainan's real estate. So unscathed. Wang Shi, the boss of Vank, was very eloquent and was very popular at the time. Legend has it that even Zili asked him to be a real estate consultant. Even Vank had already gone to Hangzhou. It seemed that the land auction in Hangzhou was already famous. It is true that, as Mr. Chiao said, the defense cannot be defended. I, Lu Lipol, am still standing still, so many troops have already reached Hangzhou. Lu Ligan predicted that those local companies in Hangzhou that had no strength that came to participate in the auction last time would be completely eliminated this time, and the elimination would be very simple. You can't get the land today. It will be impossible to get land in Hangzhou again in the future. Your only way out is to go to the countryside or inland to see if there is still a chance for you to survive. It's not that I, Lu Ligan, won't give you soup, it's that even I, Lu Ligan, seem to have to risk my life to keep my own bowl of soup. The reality is so cruel. Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest is most vividly reflected in the real estate industry. Real estate is a place where heroes are judged by their strength. Director Chu, what's the number of Vank? Lu Ligan asked. 87, the director said and walked away. Lu Ligan stood there, feeling a sense of crisis that he had never experienced before. Although he had long known that this day would come sooner or later, he did not expect that it would come so fast and violently, which was a bit unexpected. The good days of peace and tranquility are gone. Meng Ping, Tan Shahan, and Zhang Chen stood there. They were also stunned by the scene in front of them. Meng Ping said, "This is the 18th Root Prince's crusade against Hangzhou. Today in Hangzhou is Nanjing's tomorrow. Fortunately, this time, 5 pieces of land were given to Qianfang and the others. Next, I estimate that Nanjing will soon have such hand-to-hand fighting." Around the hall, there are still billboards with information about the land plots. This time, a total of 24 plots of land were launched, including 5 plots in Qianjiang New City alone. The auction information in Lu Ligan's hand included an introduction to each piece of land, but Lu Ligan still walked around the hall. In front of each billboard, a group of people were gathered around, discussing enthusiastically. Lu Ligan walked to the back of the crowd and stood for a while. He was not here to look at the billboard, but to see and listen to the people gathered in front of the billboard. "What are you talking about?" After walking around, Lu Ligan felt a little relieved that he found that all real estate companies from other places seemed to be particularly interested in the land in Qianjiang New Town. It seems that they also believe that the future of Hangzhou will be there, and the local real estate companies in Hangzhou are still used to making quick money in the urban area, and they are relatively indifferent to the future. Lu Ligan walked back to Zhang Chen and Tan Shahan, and just in time, everyone in the hall started to set up shop. This time, because Meng Ping signed up, Sentai Real Estate did not sign up. Lu Ligan said hello to the collection and storage center in advance and arranged the seats for them and Meng Ping's two companies together. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, went to Shanghai today, and Lao Tan had something to do at the construction site, so this time, although there are 6 places to enter, but only 4 people, Lu Ligan, Meng Ping, Tan Shahen, and Zhang Chen, came. The 4 of them went in, found their seats and sat down. Tan Shahen took the Zhejiang Jingxiu number plate in her hand and refused to give it to Lu Li. She told Meng Ping, "Lao Meng, be careful of the person next to you, he will." The 3 men laughed as they grabbed the number plate. This time, their goal is very clear, and they don't want to create any more sensational effects. They have 10 projects under construction, which is enough. They are focusing on the 5 pieces of land in Qianzhong New City, and they will get as much as they can. Half of the land in other urban areas was multi-story and was not in their consideration range. The price of the other pieces of land was expected to be very high, so they decided not to take it this time. The auction has officially begun, and the competition for each piece of land is fierce, especially those companies from out of town, who are determined to win. Lu Ligan, the old man, is here, and what he is thinking in his heart is, you guys will take every piece of land. I am the beneficiary of the hype, so why should I be anxious? The price of each piece of land soared rapidly. Compared with the last time, it was almost 50% more expensive. Lu Ligan knew in his heart that there was no room to adjust the floor area ratio this time. Their land was equivalent to higher than his own. It was twice as expensive when I got it in one go. Lu Ligan observed carefully and found that number 87 had never raised a placard, and Tan Shahen rarely raised a placard. It was not until 2 pieces of land in Qianzhong New City came out that they offered the land price of 980 yuan per square meter, and the land price of 980 yuan per square meter. The land price per square meter was 1080 yuan, which was more than double the price of their land in splendid Qianzhong. These 2 pieces of land are also the ones they want to win most, because they are on the edge of the splendid Qianzhong River, and they are keeping them as the second phase of the splendid Qianzhong River. The last piece of land in Qianzhong New City and the largest piece of land in this auction has been released, with a total construction area of 420,000 square meters. This land is right on the Qiantang River. You can see the Qiantang River, separated by Zhejiang Road. It is the green belt along the Qiantang River. The starting price was 760 yuan, and the price was quickly raised. When it reached 940 yuan per square meter, Lu Ligan found number 87 and raised his placard for the first time. It seemed that they were targeting this area. Came from the land. When it was 1020, Lu Lizan saw that the other people were already a little tired, so he said to Tan Shahen, "You raise it." "It's already so expensive," Tan Shahen said. Before Lu Ligan opened his mouth, Meng Ping shouted, "Why is 1,000 yuan so expensive?" Tan Shahen looked at Lu Ligan nodded, and Tan Shahen raised the card. Everyone was tepid, completely different from the last time. It was only 20 yuan a time, and 20 yuan was added up one at a time. After 1,200 yuan, only number 87 and Lu Ligan and the others were left. 33 There are 2 families. Number 87 was raised to 1,240 yuan. Tan Shahen was so cruel that she simply jumped away and asked for 1,300 yuan. She wanted to seal the price at this price, but the other party still raised the price to 1,320 yuan. At this time, the local developers in Hangzhou were a little stupid at the venue. They never expected that the land of Qianzhong New City could be raised so high today. Tan Shahen quickly calculated in her mind that the price was already very high. Tan Shahen did not dare to directly call for 1,400 yuan. When she was about to call for 1,340 yuan, Lu Ligan said, "Give up, give this land to him." Tan Shahen and Zhang Chen were both surprised. They did not expect that these words would come from Lu Ligan's mouth. Meng Ping on the side was also anxious and shouted, "Why give up and keep fighting with them?" Lu Ligan said, "That's Vank." "So what about Vank? Even if Wang Shi came and did it himself, you can't do it or not, I can't do it if you don't do it." As Meng Ping said this, he was about to raise his cards, but was caught by Lu Lapole and snatched the cards from his hand. Number 87, I got this piece of land. In this auction, Lu Ligan and the others only got the 2 pieces of land in Qianzhong New City, but Lu Ligan felt very satisfied, and Tan Shahen also felt that this way, their cash reserves were still within a safe range. After leaving the venue, the 4 people got into the car. Meng Ping cursed, "Gangzi, why did you get cold feet when you saw Vank?" Lu Ligan smiled and said, "I'm not a coward. Have you noticed that they took this piece of land today? So what? I already have 3 pieces of land in Qianzhong New City, which is nearly 900,000 square meters. If Vank moves into Qianzhong New City, it will be good for stimulating the development of that area. Only when the entire area is developed, I will benefit. Otherwise, my family has more than 1 million square meters, and is there a one-man show? I checked the reason why Qianzhong New Town can't get started. At the beginning, the land was all over the place, and there were no decent companies there at all. If Vank comes in, it will improve the quality of the entire block." Lu Ligan said, and the other 3 people thought his words made sense. Tan Shahen said with a smile, "The world is changing so fast. Why today, it was the pole that called for stop, and it was Lao Meng who wanted to raise the sign." Lu Ligan said, "You think I don't want to kill people happily? People are poor and have short ambitions. I have decided to do the corporate bonds that Mr. Chiao mentioned. I will do the splendid Harmony Garden and splendid Huading. Don't wait for the Spring Festival, the market will open soon, and the opening price will be adjusted. Starting from tomorrow, housing prices in Hangzhou will definitely rise a lot." After the auction ended, Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen knew in their hearts that if they did not expand the strength of their company as soon as possible and make themselves bigger and stronger, they might soon be driven out of the land auction market in Hangzhou by others. Waiting for them once the project at hand is completed, they will not be able to get the land and will wait to be eliminated. Tan Shahen originally thought that she would not panic if she had food in her hands, referring to money, but now she understands that it is the same if she has no land, and this land has now passed the age of relying on small money and connections, and with a little bit of luck, it can be obtained. It means throwing out real money. Look at the difference between the land transaction price this time and the land transaction price they last bought. 12% is really nothing. The 2 people reached a consensus that they must issue corporate bonds to raise more money. Funds. Lu Ligan quickly agreed with Mr. Chiao to pledge 20% of the equity of Zhejiang Jingxiu Dadi Real Estate Co., Limited and entrust Mr. Chiao and Shenzhen Angzhen Trust to issue corporate bonds worth RMB 1.5 billion. At the same time, Kunpeng Construction also conducted a dividend distribution. Lu Ligan's Zhejiang Jingxiu received 2 billion. Kunpeng Construction still had more than 2 billion in its account, which was enough to pay for subsequent project fees and other expenses. After the 2 sums of money arrived, Lu Ligan began to set his sights on Shanghai. "Thank you Mesa 3501 for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Happy Saturday everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1034. After Splendid Harmony Garden and Splendid Huading were opened, the person who regretted the most in Hangzhou was probably Lu Ligan. For these 2 properties, Yingying first put out 30 numbers for trial sale. The opening price was 4,800 yuan per square meter, and they were sold out immediately. The entire property market in Hangzhou was changed in a blink of an eye. Opened the 5000 era. Ying Ying decided on the spot that the next houses would be sold at a price of 5,200 yuan. From this moment on, the house prices in the main urban area of Hangzhou had never dropped below 5,000 yuan. Neither Lu Ligan, Ying Ying, nor Tan Shehen knew that not only home buyers in Hangzhou, but also real estate developers were waiting for their properties to open. Home buyers have the mentality that they will make money if they buy it, and other real estate developers are waiting for them to be the leader and drive up housing prices. What Lu Ligan regretted was that in just half a year, Zhang Chen, if I get hit by a car at that time and lose my memory for half a year, I will either go to jail for gambling, rape, theft, or any other reason. Come out now, Zhang Chen, my Misi River, to more than 1 million square meters, each square meter can earn at least 2,000 yuan more than 400 million yuan, just like that. Half a year, Zhang Chen, and my 2 office buildings in the center of Hangzhou City, half a year is less than half a year, and I still have to ask someone to change it into a commercial and residential building. Do you think I am unjust? Lu Ligan chattered endlessly. Injustice. Zhang Chen nodded and said, however, you shouldn't start from Misi River. If we don't calculate it from Misi River, then where should we calculate it? Lu Ligan asked. You should start with Splendid Home. If you look at Splendid Home now, you can earn 4,000 more for 1 square meter of Splendid Home instead of 2,000. Zhang Chen said, by the way, I also bought 3 sets, do you want me to reimburse you the price difference? Lu Ligan was stunned, while Tan Shehen and Xiao Zhao laughed. Xiao Zhao said, I also suffered a loss. At that time, I should have bought 3 buildings instead of 3 units. How about we just build houses without selling them from now on, Mr. Lu? Tan Shehen looked at Lu Ligan and asked, house prices will rise anyway, and you will regret it if you sell, so why not just keep them all? That's right, let Chu Tianlin print money for you, and then you use the money to buy land. By the way, it will also satisfy your desire to go to jail. Pol, when you get out of jail after 20 years, wow, the house prices in Hangzhou will rise 30,000, and you are already the richest man in the country. As Zhang Chen spoke, Tan Shehen and Xiao Zhao burst into laughter. Lu Ligan also laughed, but even as he laughed, his heart still hurt. 2 million square meters, 4 billion, in half a year, he made a damn less than 4 billion. Hey, can't you go? I woke up crying early in the morning and didn't go to class. Song Chunming is still waiting for us in the office. Tan Shehen shouted to Lu Ligan. Don't I want to wait for Zhang Chen and the others to come and settle the accounts with them, Lu Ligan said, I dreamed about this thing last night. I dreamed that Ying Ying came to me and told me that the house sold in Mishai. It doesn't matter, it's going to reopen now. Zhang Chen scolded, are you not weaned yet? Do you want me to go down and buy you a bottle of milk? Tan Shehen also scolded, childish devil. Lu Ligan wanted to say something else, but Tan Shehen urged, is it settled now? If you don't leave, I will. After Tan Shehen finished speaking, she turned and walked out of Zhang Chen's office. Okay, let's go, Zhang Chen. I'll do the math for you while we drink tonight, Lu Ligan shouted. Go away, Sister Xianglin is the same. If you want to keep nagging me at night, don't drink. Just drink jealous. Zhang Chen cursed. Tan Shehen had already reached the stairs, turned around and went downstairs. Lu Ligan hurriedly chased after her. Looking at their backs, Xiao Zhao shook his head and sighed. Zhang Chen looked up at her and said with a smile, why are you sighing? You see, these 2 people are inseparable every day. Apart from not living in the same room, they look like a couple. Xiao Zhao said, Lao Meng is right, this Pole is Sister Shehen can cure him. Zhang Chen said with a smile, Tan Shehen can cure him, not now, it has been more than 10 years. Also, dear, look at this Pole, is it good for Xiang Nan? I think he is better for Xiang Nan than Sister Shehen. Or, Find time to talk to them and bring them together. Isn't everyone happy? Don't say goodbye. Jiang Chen waved his hands quickly. There's no need to say anything. It's fine for the two of us to be like this. I know Tan Shahan very well. She's so perverted. She's fine as she is now. If you tell her, she will definitely go for it on purpose. Keep your distance from the pole. Oh, I really don't understand. Xiao Zhao sighed and walked out. Not long after Xiao Zhao walked out, someone knocked on the door, and Jiang Chen called out, "Please come in." The door opened, and a voice whispered, "Mr. Jiang." "Zheng Huiyang, when did you come back?" Jiang Chen shouted happily when he saw Zheng Huiyang standing at the door. "Arrived last night." "Come in and sit down." Zheng Huiyang still stood at the door and did not walk in. Instead, she asked, "Is Sister Xiao Zhao here?" "In the..." "Then I'll go over and say hello first, then come back, Mr. Jiang." "Well." Zheng Huiyang closed the door. 10 minutes later, the door knocked again. Jiang Chen walked over and opened the door. It was Zheng Huiyang who came back. Jiang Chen asked Zheng Huiyang to sit on the sofa and poured her a glass of hot water. Jiang Chen asked, "Zheng Huiyang, are you coming back this time to visit relatives or on a business trip?" Zheng Huiyang shook her head and said, "I'm not leaving, we're all back. Everyone is back. Even Teacher Ma is back." "Yes, we came back together yesterday." "Aren't you going to Beijing?" "Not going." "Over there, I mean over there in Beijing, what happened?" Jiang Chen asked. "It's nothing big, I'm just very busy, but I can't seem to see any results. And, you don't know, the people there seem to be different from us here. Communication is difficult, and life is also difficult." "Habit," Zheng Huiyang said. "Then you're back, what are you going to do?" "I should probably make a website." "I haven't thought about it yet. Anyway, now that the internet is better here in Hangzhou, I should still do something in this area." Jiang Chen nodded, "By the way, I have checked out your website. It is very good. I also registered for the online Canton Fair. I originally wanted to upload a few pictures, but unfortunately, the internet speed is too slow. I thought it was too troublesome, so I didn't do it." Zheng Huiyang stood up and walked to Jiang Chen's desk to take a look. She said, "The modem is really slow." "By the way, Zheng Huiyang, is there a faster way?" Jiang Chen remembered that Zheng Huiyang was an expert in this field and asked quickly. "Yes, Mr. Jiang, does our company have a big demand in this area? I mean, the internet." Zheng Huiyang has been away for more than a year, but when it comes to it, it is still our company, not your company. "Big, big, I have to check information every day. Ji Ling and his design center also need to check. As you know, what we are looking for are pictures, and the opening speed is very slow. Xiao Zhao and the others also receive a lot of reports every day. Aren't faxes rarely used nowadays?" Jiang Chen said. Zheng Huiyang said, "Then you can apply for a dedicated optical fiber line." "What's the meaning?" "You can go to the Post and Telecommunications Office, apply for a dedicated line, buy a switch here, and connect all the computers to the switch. In this way, you will not be accessing the internet through modems and telephone lines. The speed will be very fast. If the requirements are higher, we add another server ourselves and set it up this way when we make websites." Zheng Huiyang said, "It's just that the cost is a bit more expensive. At the Post and Telecommunications Bureau, you have to pay more than 10,000 yuan a year, and here you have to buy these equipment and so on. The cost doesn't matter. Come on, Zheng Huiyang, no one of us knows how to do it. Please tell me in detail what should be done." Zheng Huiyang smiled and said, "Mr. Jiang, you don't need to know. It's useless if you know it. You still have to learn wiring and connections. If you want to do it, I will do it for the company. Anyway, during this period of time, Nothing happened. That's great, Zheng Huiyang. Every time I see you, I feel that you will bring me a surprise. Wait, I'll call the second person to come. In the past 2 days, wherever you need to go through any formalities, let him drop you off. Go, if you want to buy something, ask him to help you move it, anyway, he will be under your command. Okay, Mr. Zhang, Zheng Huiyang said softly. Zhang Chen deducted the second-rate goods. After 5 or 6 minutes, the second-rate goods came in. As soon as he saw Zheng Huiyang, he shouted, "Oh, Lao Wan's wife is back, then Lao Wan is happy." Zheng Huiyang's face turned red instantly, and she quickly shouted, "Don't talk nonsense, don't talk nonsense." Huo smiled and said, "Why did I talk nonsense? Are you happy to see you? Did you do anything last night? We are an old married couple, so there is nothing to be embarrassed about." Zheng Huiyang was so embarrassed that she was at a loss. Zhang Chen quickly scolded the idiot, "Do you think anyone is as shameless as you?" Zhang Chen told Huo about the matter and told him that you have been following Zheng Huiyang's arrangements every day these days. By the way, Zheng Huiyang, do you live in Gongchen Bridge? Zheng Huiyang lowered her head and said nothing. The second-rate guy said, "Where else could she live if she didn't live there?" "Okay, you pick her up every morning and take her back at night," Zhang Chen said to Huo. "Okay, Lao Wan, don't worry, I will definitely be more obedient than Lao Wan." The second-rate guy laughed and said, Zheng Huiyang was so anxious that she stood up to hit the second-rate guy. The second-rate guy quickly ran away. Zheng Huiyang chased her to the door but failed to catch up, so she had to come back, her face still flushed. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "It's okay, Zheng Huiyang, this guy just doesn't cover up his words, don't take it to heart." Zheng Huiyang said, "Yeah, who doesn't know him yet?" "It's good to know," Zhang Chen said with a smile, "but Zheng Huiyang, let me ask you seriously, you are back and you are not leaving. When are you and Lao Wan going to do things?" Zheng Huiyang lowered her head and said, He said he was ready to celebrate the new year." "Okay, Zheng Huiyang, I know that Lao Wan's parents are gone at home. He also hates his brothers and sisters. He doesn't want to go back for several years. You can set a time for this wedding and I will help you organize it, okay? We are here, there are so many people who are all your good friends, and it's very lively." "Okay, thank you, Mr. Zhang," Zheng Huiyang said quietly without raising her head. "Thank you for the tip that I didn't even know anyone asked. Thank you for your monthly votes from Yaoju, Book Friends 16021318454872 and Zheng Guang Ion Exchange Resin Zhouping. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1035. Zheng Huiyang and the second-hand goods first went to the Post and Telecommunications Office, completed the optical cable access procedures, paid the money, and then bought switches, network cables, crystal heads and other consumables. Although Zhang Chen said that money did not matter, Zheng Huiyang thought about it. In the morning, they mainly browsed the web, so there was no need for a server. A server cost tens of thousands, which was too expensive, so she didn't buy it. After moving everything upstairs, Zheng Huiyang asked the second person to help them lay out the internal network cables so that they could be used after the optical cable from the post office was pulled in and plugged into the switch. Zheng Huiyang looked at it and decided to install the switch in the fabric warehouse because it was between the design center and Zhang Chen's office. Pulling out the network cable from there, it was the shortest way to the design center, Zhang Chen's office, and the financial center next door. Distance. Zheng Huiyang put her backpack on the coffee table and took out a network cable clamp and a network cable tester. Zhang Chen laughed when he saw it. "Zheng Huiyang, you are a girl, do you have all these things in your bag?" "Yes, aren't you going to use it today?" If you don't put this tool in your bag, where can you put it? Zheng Huiyang asked. Okay, do you usually do this kind of work? Zhang Chen asked. Zheng Huiyang nodded, I do everything. I make web pages, do translations, and when I need to install machines, I do these. If the computer breaks, I fix it. I like to do these things. Yes, you and Lao Wan are a couple, Zhang Chen said with a smile. What does that have to do with me? It's all steel and concrete. He likes to do chores. If you leave Lao Wan to do any chores, he can do them well. To be honest, when he first went to the pole, I didn't get used to it for several days. This is something, it feels like I couldn't even get anyone to do it, so the first time I asked, I called Lao Wan. When Zhang Chen said this, Zheng Huiyang laughed. Zheng Huiyang and Huo went to the fabric warehouse and freed up the iron shelf on the top floor closest to the corner to store the switch. This is a main switch. When they arrived at the design center, there were many people there, so they would continue there again. Install a secondary switch, as well as the financial center. The second-hand guy turned out to be a decorator, and drilling holes in the wall and routing cables was a piece of cake for him. The two of them worked until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and laid out all the cables. At that time, there were not many units that applied to install dedicated lines, mainly universities, banks, stock exchanges and a few internet cafes, so Zheng Huiyang applied in the morning, and construction workers from the Post and Telecommunications Bureau came at about 1 p.m., and Huancheng North Road was not open yet. The optical cable is now connected to Stadium Road. They need to pull the optical cable from Stadium Road over the rooftops of the entire dynamic zone. The amount of work is not small. After Zheng Huiyang and the second guy had laid out the wires inside and pulled the optical cable from the Post and Telecommunications office, they inserted the crystal head of the optical cable into the switch. Zheng Huiyang turned on the power of the switch and asked Zhang Chen to test the network speed. Zhang Chen entered the website address of Chen Yifei's Yifei Clothing Company in the address bar of the browser, clicked on it, and the web page opened quickly. Great, Zhang Chen exclaimed, I have tried several times to open this website, but I can't open it. This page can only be opened halfway through, and then it can no longer be opened. Zheng Huiyang looked at it and said with a smile, that's because they have no experience in making websites. The pixels of this picture are too big. What is a pixel? Zhang Chen asked. Zheng Huiyang was stunned for a moment and said curiously, Mr. Zhang, as a designer, you don't even know what pixels are. I know lines and colors, but what do I need to know about pixels? Zhang Chen, in turn, was also surprised. Then what designs do you usually use? Paper, pen. Zheng Huiyang nodded, understood. It was still the same. Zheng Huiyang asked, you didn't use design software, you designed on the computer. If you're not used to it, it's fine for drawing children's pictures, but the design isn't working. Zheng Huiyang minimized the web page and looked at the desktop of Zhang Chen's computer. There was no drawing software. Zheng Huiyang understood that he was talking about drawing using the drawing software in Windows. She reopened the web page and pointed at the picture above. Ask. Mr. Zhang, do you think this picture is beautiful? Beautiful. Zhang Chen nodded and said, this picture doesn't seem to be drawn by hand, but rather printed. This was designed on the computer. Zhang Chen was startled and shouted, what are you talking about, Zheng Huiyang, this was designed on the computer? How did they do it? It's not difficult. Once you learn it, you can draw it. This is designed using special design and drawing software. Zheng Huiyang stood up as she spoke, walked to the coffee table, took out a thick album like a photo album from her backpack, walked back, and opened it. It turned out that there were discs inside. Zheng Huiyang picked them up, and Zhang Chen said, Mr. Zhang, can I help you install professional drawing software? Very good. Zheng Huiyong took out a CD and said to Zhang Chen, "This is Adobe's Illustrator. If the picture you saw earlier was made with this software, the file would be much smaller and faster to open. This is for making vector graphics." "What is a vector image?" Zhang Chen asked. Zheng Huiyong smiled and said, "Okay, Mr. Zhang, I will let it be installed first. It will take a while to install, and then I will talk to you, okay?" Zhang Chen said yes. Zheng Huiyong inserted the CD into the optical drive. Zhang Chen saw that a picture of Venus from The Birth of Venus painted by Italian painter Botticelli appeared on the computer screen. Zhang Chen thought to himself, "It is really an image painting. As soon as people look at this avatar, they will know that this is drawing software." The software started to be installed, and the computer host made a whining sound. Zheng Huiyong turned around and said to Zhang Chen, "Mr. Zhang, let me answer what you said earlier, what is a pixel?" Zhang Chen said yes. "Mr. Zhang, don't you know about printing?" Zheng Huiyong asked. Zhang Chen often goes to Chu Tianlin's printing factory. He is familiar with the entire process from plate making to printing and binding. Zhang Chen nodded and said, "I know a little about this. Is the printed pattern composed of dots of different colors?" "A dot is a pixel," Zheng Huiyong said. "I understand, it's just a stroke when I draw." "Yes, that's it. However, Mr. Zhang, your strokes may be big or small. But on this computer, every pixel in the same painting is the same. Different paintings will have differences. The higher the pixels, the better the picture. The finer and more exquisite it is, the lower the pixels, the rougher the picture. The height of pixels refers to the number of color dots in the same square centimeter. The higher the color dots, the smaller they are. I understand, just like printing, the finer the painting, the higher the mesh number of the screen, and the smaller the ink dots that bleed through." "Yes, that's right, but in the computer, it is not a color, but a sequence of numbers. A pixel is a sequence of numbers. To open a painting, the computer reads out the sequence of numbers." "I understand," Zhang Chen said, "so for images with high pixels, it will take a long time for the computer to read them, and it will be slow to open them." "Yes, Mr. Zhang, if you know what pixels are, it will be easy to talk about what vector graphics are. The paintings we see on computers come in two forms. One is called bitmap, which is also called pixel map, and bitmap, which is composed of pixels. When another software is installed, you will see that after the pixel image is enlarged, it is a mosaic. Each mosaic square is a pixel. The pixel image is a picture in reality, such as a photo taken by a camera. Mr. Zhang, the picture you drew. But you can't draw vector graphics except on a computer with the help of drawing software. Vector graphics have no concept of pixels. It is also called object-oriented drawing. It is a mathematical description of curves and color blocks surrounded by curves. When graphics are made, they are represented internally by the computer as a series of values rather than pixels, and these values determine how the graphics appear on the screen. Mr. Zhang, I say this, do you understand? Zhang Chen shook his head and said with a smile, I am even more confused. I can easily imagine the pixels you are talking about. I can also imagine pictures made up of pixels. They are almost the same as my own drawings. The vector pictures you are talking about are not pixels. If it has nothing to do with pixels, I can't understand it. Zheng Huiyong thought for a while and said, okay, my mouth is too stupid. No, it's because I know too little about computers and don't know how it works, Zhang Chen said quickly. Zheng Huiyong said, let me put it another way. For example, if you are a composer and you write a piece of music, and you want to hand it over to a record company, are there two ways? One is to ask a group of people to play together. Then you record it on a tape using a tape recorder, or another way is to write it as a musical score. What is the difference between these two methods? The biggest difference between them is that the recording method is different. The recording on the tape is descriptive and contains all the audio information of the music. All the information in it has been recorded, such as depending on the playing speed, instrument, timbre, etc. If you want to replace the flute inside with a panpipe, you have no choice but to record it again. But if you record it in music scores, it is not descriptive, but descriptive. It does not contain audio information, but only contains a description of the music's melody. If you want to change the playing speed or the timbre of the instrument, you only need to record it in the music score. Just make some changes. If you want to replace the flute with a panpipe, you only need to make some changes in the music score. Numerical images, pixel images, and dot matrix images are descriptive, with points as recording objects. Vector images are descriptive, with line segments and calculation formulas as recording objects. For example, if we draw a straight line, if it is a pixel image, should we start from the front point, which is the pixel, and go to the last point, and arrange it like this? There must be no missing pixel in the middle. If one is missing, the line will it broke. Then using vector graphics software, if you draw this straight line, how will the computer record it? It is very simple. It will remember three pieces of information: the starting point coordinates of the straight line, the end point coordinates, and the color of the straight line. When restoring, the computer will use this three pieces of information are used to generate an image, just like a band playing a musical score. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "I finally understand. I understand your last words." Zheng Huiyang stuck out her tongue, "I'm almost exhausted." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Then what's the difference between the two?" The files of vector images are small and open quickly on the computer, so generally when vector images can be used, vector images are used. The picture of the clothing company in front is slow to open because it uses bitmaps. If it is changed to vector images, there will be no need to open it halfway and get stuck there. The disadvantage of pixel images is that because they are composed of individual pixels, when enlarged, they become mosaics one by one, which will produce jagged edges. Vector images can only be generated by software. It is a mathematical algorithm. Enlarging or reducing the image does not affect the quality of the image. The image will not be distorted. To put it bluntly, no matter how much you enlarge it, there will be no mosaic or aliasing. Since vector graphics are so good, why do we need bitmaps? Zhang Chen asked. Vector graphics also have shortcomings. The biggest drawback is that it is difficult to express realistic image effects with rich color levels. Zheng Huiyang said, "I currently install Adobe's Illustrator, which is a vector graphics software and is more suitable for original creations, such as what you want to draw yourself. I'll install one for you later. It's Adobe's Photoshop. It's a typical pixel drawing software. It has strong post-processing capabilities. Its main strength lies in image processing. If you scan a picture or photo into your computer, when it comes to making changes, Photoshop is more convenient." After saying so many words, Zheng Huiyang's voice became hoarse. Moreover, Zhang Chen discovered that Zheng Huiyang's eloquence had improved significantly after she went to Beijing. Was she influenced by teacher Ma? Thank you, Tin Soldier, for reading the book every day and ranking third from top to bottom for the reward. Thank you for your monthly votes from Chongbu Letinfei, Huohu Tribe, UN11, and Muren. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 1036. Zheng Huiyang helped Zhang Chen install Illustrator and Photoshop. She took another CD and said to Zhang Chen, "This is Corel Draw from Corel. It is also used for making vector graphics. Its functions are similar to Illustrator. Forget it, it's good to learn to use those two softwares, but it will be troublesome if you use more. Zhang Chen said okay. Both softwares are in English. Zhang Chen was confused when he opened them and couldn't understand a word. He said, how can this be used? Zheng Huiyang smiled and said, it's not that complicated. Each of these buttons is a symbol. Off and on are also in English. You can't get them wrong. Buy an English-Chinese dictionary and look it up. You can probably understand the meaning. If you don't look it up, you can't. If you try the buttons one by one, you will become familiar with them. Zheng Huiyang took a pen and paper, translated each button of the two softwares, wrote them on the paper, then opened Photoshop, and told Zhang Chen that she might use this more often, because the pictures scanned in by the scanner, they are all pixel images. Once you learn this, it will be easier to operate Illustrator. Many of their buttons have the same function. Zheng Huiyang said, looked around and said with a smile, Mr. Zhang, you have nothing here except computers and this black and white printer. What else do you need? Zhang Chen asked, didn't you prepare this for me? That's right, but I didn't understand it at that time. Things related to computers are changing every year, so fast, Zheng Huiyang said. Then show me what I'm missing here. Zheng Huiyang said, if you use computers to design things in the future, you will need a scanner here. In this way, whether it is a photo or a picture in a magazine, you can scan it into the computer through the scanner. Zhang Chen said okay, help me buy it. You also need a color printer, so that you can print out the things you designed on your computer. If you need small quantities of things in the store in the future, you don't need to draw them by hand, let alone print them. You can print them yourself. A color printer is definitely the best choice. Indispensable. Zhang Chen said okay, you'd better buy it for me. Zheng Huiyang, take a look and see if there's anything else missing. Zheng Huiyang thought for a moment and said, you still lack one thing, but it's a bit expensive. The things you design in the future cannot be saved in the computer. The files of your things are relatively large. You don't have a few pictures saved in your computer. The computer won't be able to handle it, the speed will be very slow, and it will have to be stored in another place. You need an MO. What is this? Zhang Chen asked. MO is also called a magneto-optical disc. It is very similar to a floppy disk, and it is also very large. But the capacity of a floppy disk is small. It cannot save even a picture. MO can. Its disk capacity ranges from 128 M to 640 M, which is enough. And it's the same as a floppy disk. You can save it and take it with you. For example, if you need to print, just give the MO disk to the printing factory. If you want to print large posters, give it to a larger print shop. They all have it. The MO machine can read it. Really, isn't that very convenient? Does it mean we just need to put stacks of MO disks here? Zhang Chen said, this is great, you can buy it for me. It's very expensive, costing more than 10,000 yuan. More than 10,000 is nothing, buy it, Zhang Chen shouted. Zheng Huiyang sighed, it's great to have money. Zhang Chen smiled and said, why, can't you afford it? Zheng Huiyang shook her head, we can't use it, and we can't bear to buy it. We are very poor. Then you come back to the company, Zhang Chen said. Zheng Huiyang still shook her head, no, that is really what I like to do. Although I am poor, I feel that every day is a challenge. Besides, Lao Wan's salary is high, and he sends me money every month, so I'm not that poor. I saved all my money, and when I came back, Lao Wan told me that it's okay not to work. Zhang Chen nodded and said with a smile, yes, Lao Wan can afford to support you. Go, I don't want him to support you, I want to do something. Zheng Huiyang opened a picture in Photoshop and simply demonstrated the brushes and filters to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen's eyes widened and he thought it was all amazing. By the way, there's still something missing, Zheng Huiyang shouted. She found a CD and said to Zhang Chen, this is the most important, the font library, which you must be indispensable in designing. She installed the font library, then opened a new canvas in Photoshop, typed the words half an acre of field and ABC on it, enlarged it, used the mouse to return it to black, and then kept clicking in the small box above. The three characters half an acre of field change into different fonts, and by operating ABC similarly, different English fonts will appear. Zhang Chen shouted, this is too convenient. Zheng Huiyang said while clicking the mouse, let me show you the filter again. First pixelate, okay, look, this is the effect of woodcut, this is the effect of clouds, you can also choose motion blur, you can distort it like this, okay, I regretted making the lighting effect. You can return here. No, 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 Zheng Huiyang, stop, Zhang Chen shouted. Zheng Huiyang stopped, looked at Zhang Chen and asked, what's wrong, Mr. Zhang? Are you saying that you have nothing to do during this period? Zhang Chen asked. Zheng Huiyang nodded, yes. In this way, Zheng Huiyang, teacher Zheng, starting from tomorrow, you will come here every day and help Ge Ling and others install the software. Then, you will give us training and teach us how to use these software, and teach us how to use scanners and MO. You also know that those of us who draw will be confused if we read the instructions and so on. But it depends on the person's operation. Let's follow and learn quickly. Zheng Huiyang, okay, you come for training, and I will pay you the training fee. Zheng Huiyang shook her head, I won't come. Why? Because there is a training fee. If you don't pay the training fee, I will come. Zhang Chen smiled and said, okay, then I'll treat you to delicious food every day. Is this okay? Zheng Huiyang smiled and said, this is okay, I agree. Next, Zheng Huiyang trained Zhang Chen and Ge Ling. After 4 days of training, Zhang Chen and the others were basically able to operate. Xiao Zhao and Zheng Huiyang complained that it was over. He was completely fascinated. Now every day, I didn't go home until 4 or 5 o'clock, and my wife didn't want to go home, so I just stared at the computer in the office. Zhang Chen smiled and said, the picture on my computer is you. I stare at you every day. Xiao Zhao opened his eyes wide, tell me, did you make me look ugly? Zhang Chen chuckled and did not deny it, that's not just for effect. Xiao Zhao jumped up, okay, there really is one. Show me quickly. She and Zheng Huiyang walked behind Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen said, how could I save those ugly ones? They were all used to test the effect and were deleted. What about the beautiful ones? Mr. Zhang, please show us the beautiful pictures of Sister Xiao Zhao. Zhang Chen chuckled, embarrassed. Hurry up, take it out quickly, Xiao Zhao shouted. Zhang Chen pointed to a new folder on the desktop and said, see for yourselves. He stood up and walked away. Zheng Huiyang clicked on the folder, then clicked on the pictures inside, and exclaimed, this is so beautiful. Sister Xiao Zhao, does every typed picture look prettier than those celebrity calendars? Xiao Zhao looked at himself on the screen and smiled. Zheng Huiyang and Zhang Chen said, Mr. Zhang, you are now a master. I can't even make these images of yours. You are more skilled than me. Zhang Chen and Zheng Huiyang said, I really did what you said. I clicked every button and tried every button again and again, and none of them was useless. Nonsense, there is no button if it is useless, Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Chen thought about it, and it was the same. By the way, how are Ge Ling and the others doing with their studies? Zhang Chen asked. It's not bad, Zheng Huiyang said. Mr. Zhang, I have a good way to test the results of learning. What's a good idea? We are going to make a website, just a half-acre clothing website. When making website materials, all these skills will be used. What, you said our company will build a website by itself. Zhang Chen asked, is it that easy to build a website? How complicated do you think it is? Yifei company can have a website, why can't our half-acre farm have one? Zheng Huiyang said. Of course it would be great to have my own website, Zhang Chen shouted, quickly, Zheng Huiyang, tell me how to do it? Zhang Chen had already walked to the sofa and sat down. Hearing Zheng Huiyang talk about making a website, he stood up and walked back. Zheng Huiyang opened the browser, entered a URL, and the homepage of China 10,000 Networks came out. Zheng Huiyang, Zhang Chen, and Xiao Zhao said that the first step in building a website is to register a domain name, which means that people enter it in the browser. You can be found, like your address, or your name, but this name is unique in the world. She clicked domain name registration and opened it, which was a domain name query. She said, if someone has already registered it, you can't register it? You can only register it if no one has registered it? All the previous domain names are the same, 3 Ws. Zheng Huiyang then entered www. In the middle, is the name of the company, a half-acre of land? There are too many words, people can't remember this domain name registration, the simpler the name, the better. If you have 3 W points and a .com, then you are awesome and you will definitely not be able to register. Zheng Huiyang looked at Zhang Chen and asked, how about we use the first 3 characters of Ban Mu Tian's pinyin? BMT. I don't know if I can register it. Zhang Chen agreed, and Zheng Huiyang entered www.bmt and said, in the future, either click com or click net. Clicking com is more useful, so we use com. She entered and clicked to query immediately. The result showed that it had been registered. Then she changed the com button to net, and it still showed that it had been registered. Zheng Huiyang shook her head and shouted Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao they all laughed. Zheng Huiyang said, by the way, add CN. China is half an acre of land, half soil and half ocean. It combines English and Pinyin and only has 5 letters. It's easy to remember. She entered and the result showed that she could register bingo, Zheng Huiyang shouted. She filled in all the information, and the bottom showed the service years, from 1 to 5 years. She chose 5 years, 120 yuan a year, with a 10% discount for 5 years, a total of 550 yuan, and click submit. Finally, Zheng Huiyang wrote down the remittance account and said to Xiao Zhao, Sister Xiao Zhao, remit the money to them as quickly as possible, with the domain name registration fee written as in the purpose. After they receive the money, they will send a notification to us. Xiao Zhao said yes, took the note and walked out. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 1037. Zhang Chen called Ji Ling and others over and told them about making a company website. Everyone got excited. Making a website was such a high-end thing. Now we are actually going to make a website. Ji Ling was doubtful and asked Zheng Huiyang, is it so easy to build a website? Zheng Huiyang said, in the past, it was not so easy. If you have to write source code, if you have not learned it specifically and don't know how to write the code, you will definitely not be able to do it. But now, with software, it is easy. Zheng Huiyang took out a CD and said to them, Dreamweaver from the American Macromedia Company, this is a WYSIWYG software. What does it mean? You just do it like you do in Photoshop, to design a web page. Yes, its source code will be automatically generated, so you don't have to worry about the code. It has the function of layers, as well as tables, frames, images, etc., which can be inserted into web pages, which is very convenient for editing. Then for each picture or table, you can use the link tool to create a link for it, so you'll reach another page, and you can choose whether to open it in a new page or on the same page. You can learn these after you see me finish one page. A website is like a tree. Starting from the homepage, it keeps forking and forking, that is, links are linked out. The entire website has hundreds of branches. After all the web pages are ready, you just need to string them together and upload them. Another advantage of this software is that it is not only a website creation software, but also a management software. You can add or modify the content every hour of every day. Okay, what should we do now? Ge Ling asked. Now, the first step, the domain name application has been completed. The next thing to do immediately is to prepare the materials, draw the drawings, choose the clothes, let the models wear them, and take the photos. In short, all these materials are ready. Okay, when you create a web page like this, you can use it as soon as you get it. Don't wait until the time is gone and everyone stops and waits. Mr. Zhang, we can either divide the work. You and Ge Ling, look at which clothes need to be displayed online. You take the models and take photos first. Prepare all the photos. I will write out the structure of the entire website, so that we know how many pages there are and what materials each page needs. The structure and materials are ready. Let's divide the work and allocate all the web pages for everyone to design. But the overall style and tone of the website are up to you, Mr. Zhang. Zhang Chen said, okay, that's it, Ge Ling, go and bring out our classic styles for each season. By the way, I think the products should be divided into two major items, one for wedding dresses, and one for cotton and linen clothing and accessories. Zheng Huiyong nodded and said yes. Can you lend me this wall? Zheng Huiyong asked, pointing to the white wall at the end of Zhang Chen's office. Zhang Chen said yes, but what he was wondering about was, what's the use of a white wall? Zheng Huiyong asked the second-hand guy to find a herringbone ladder for her, and ran downstairs. She bought a bunch of colorful post-it notes and placed them on the conference table. She lay there, thinking and writing. After writing out a dozen or 20 notes, I climbed up the ladder and put the sticky notes on the wall. The top one almost reached the ceiling. Zhang Chen worked with Ge Ling in the design center for an entire afternoon before finalizing the clothing, accessories, and wedding dresses that needed to be displayed. He sent 2 designers to take Xiao Sheng's car to the Sanbeo distribution center to find them. These costumes. After finding everything, Zhang Chen planned to ask the fitting models from the design center to take pictures tomorrow with Tan Shahen and Xiao Zhao. He, Ge Ling and Yao Fen would serve as photographers, and the beauticians and makeup artists from the design center would go together. Responsible for makeup and touch UPS. After finishing all this, Zhang Chen went back to his office. Walking in the door, Zhang Chen was startled. He saw that the wall was densely covered with countless sticky notes. Zheng Huiyong saw Zhang Chen come in and said to him, Mr. Zhang, you came back just in time, the clothing part, how to classify, I still need your reference. Zhang Chen saw the sticky notes on the wall, which looked like an upside-down tree. Clusters of branches branched out from below, and each branch was a sticky note of a different color. He stood at the base of the wall and looked up. He had good eyesight and could see what was written without going up a ladder. He saw that the top page said home page, and below it was 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 by 1. The content of the home page. When you come down from the home page, there is a row horizontally. The first one is about us, the second one is cotton and linen clothing, the third one is wedding dresses, the fourth one is our sales network, and the fifth one is team and designers, the sixth one is buy online, and the seventh one is contact us. Divided from this row, there are their subpages and the content on each page. The entire layout looks clear at a glance. This is Zheng Huiyong's website structure. It can be said that there are many sticky notes on their website. There will be many web pages, and the content and coding of the web pages will be clearly written on the sticky notes. At that time, all you need to do is call all the people in front of the wall, let them familiarize themselves with the structure of the entire website, and then distribute the sticky notes to everyone one by one and ask them to make them as required. This is really a good way. Zheng Huiyang, that's amazing. So this is how you structured your website. Zheng Huiyang curled her lips and said nonchalantly, what's the point? I think many people structure their websites like this. Take a look, Mr. Zhang, if there is anything else that needs to be added, just post it. This large area of clothing here is empty, you have to classify it, and then add it. Zhang Chen said yes. Zhang Chen remembered something and asked, by the way, our website is ready, where should we put it? Wanwang is fine. They have hosting services. If you register a domain name with them, they provide free website storage and hosting. Websites like ours don't take up much space, so that's fine, Zheng Huiyang said. What if it's big? Like what you did for the State Foreign Economic and Trade Commission, Zhang Chen asked. Buy your own servers and build your own computer room. This way, firstly, you can meet the demand for large amounts of data. Secondly, to ensure safety, putting data in other people's computer rooms is not very safe after all. Having your own independent computer room is not enough. You also need to with firewalls. There are more and more resources and data on the internet, and more hackers are stealing data. Zhang Chen nodded and understood. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan came back. When they walked in, they were startled. They didn't know what they were doing. Zhang Chen told them that they were preparing to build a website. Lu Ligan shouted. Okay, Zhang Chen, this Zheng Huiyang is a family member of our company, and she was caught and exploited by you as soon as she came back. What, you're not convinced? Your family members, don't forget that Lao Wan was given to you by me. It's good that I didn't ask you to come back, Zhang Chen scolded. The two of them were bickering. Zheng Huiyang's face was red. Tan Shahan walked over and said to her, let's go cook and ignore them. By the way, Tan Shahan, you have been recruited by me. You will be a model for me to take photos tomorrow, Zhang Chen shouted. Tan Shahan turned around, looked at Zhang Chen and asked, I'm an old woman, can I still be a model? It's okay. After the filming is completed, I will process you as an 18-year-old in the computer, Zhang Chen laughed. Get out, Tan Shahan cursed and went out. And you, tomorrow the two vans, the driver and the venue will also be requisitioned by me, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan said. Where to shoot? Gentian Power Plant, Meisi River, your company, and other places. Should we let Fan Jiangguo lead his troops to maintain order? No, it's just a photo shoot, not a movie, Zhang Chen said. Tomorrow's shooting will mainly focus on cotton and linen clothing. Wedding dresses are not needed. Lin Shuwen has a complete set of information on wedding dresses. The next day, Zhang Chen and his army were preparing to set off. Lu Ligan also wanted to go with them. He couldn't drive away, so he had to follow him. Zheng Huiyang also went to help, and the second-hand guy followed him to do odd jobs. Zhang Chen was about to leave the office when he saw a new email from China Wanwang. He clicked on it to inform him that the domain name had been successfully registered. Zhang Chen told Zheng Huiyang the news, and Zheng Huiyang said, great, the rest now is our own business. After they took the photos and developed them, Lin Shuwen also sent the wedding dress information. Zheng Huiyang classified all the photos, scanned them with a scanner, and saved them in the MO disk. Then she called everyone to the block. In front of the wall, a meeting was held to introduce the structure of the entire website to everyone in detail. Zheng Huiyang told them that you must have this awareness. Every web page you create is not independent, but a part of the entire website. When you create your own web pages, you must take into account the entire website. Understand? It must be able to be integrated with others, rather than being an alternative. What we need is commonality, not individuality. Only when the entire website maintains uniformity can the personality of our website be revealed. Otherwise, it will definitely be messy and disorganized, giving people the feeling of a hodgepodge and making people confused. Zhang Chen also told them about the overall style and tone of the website, and put forward design requirements. Zheng Huiyong told everyone to remember to use vector graphics as much as possible. If bitmaps are used, the resolution should be adjusted to 400 x 600. This is the resolution of most computer screens currently. If the resolution is too low, the picture will be blurred. If it is too high, the web page the opening speed will be very slow. You know, people who read our website are not using optical fiber, but modems, 400 x 600, which is almost the psychological upper limit of the web page opening speed that people online can wait for. Zhang Chen called He Hongmei and told her that they were working on the company's website and would put her on the designer's team and ask her if she had any opinions. He Hongmei smiled and said, "Master, do you want to drive me away? How long have I been away? I am still a person with half an acre of land. By the way, do you need me to go back to help? I helped Zheng Huiyong when she was in Beijing. Web pages, I'm good at this." Zhang Chen said, after uploading it, "If you see where it needs to be modified, help modify it. Now, let Ge Ling and others do it." "Okay, Master, see you before the new year." He Hongmei said and hung up the phone. Zhang Chen held the phone and thought for a while, but he still didn't understand what He Hongmei meant by meeting before the new year. The new year would be coming soon, would she still come to Hangzhou? "Thank you Tianying 1978, why can't I change my name for my monthly ticket? Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a nice late night everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 1038. Zhang Chen and Zheng Huiyong worked for 10 days before the website of Zhejiang Banmuishan Clothing Co., Limited was launched. Although Zhang Chen himself could not explain clearly what the website was used for and how many people could see their company's website, including the actual number of people using online purchasing has always been zero. At that time, who would buy clothes online? What should I do if I buy a large one or a small one? What should I do if I don't like the style, color, or fabric? When you go to a clothing store to buy clothes, you have to pick and choose them, not to mention online. After placing the order, you have to go to the bank to transfer money to you. I have already transferred the money to you, what should I do if the clothes are not good? Or simply, what if you don't send me the clothes at all? The Banmuishan clothing website at the end of December 1998 has actually become a pioneer and a martyr since it was first launched. Even Zhang Chen himself almost forgot that they also had a website. The online shopping of that website also has a database behind it, so you can place orders online. At that time, Alibaba and 8848 had not yet been established. Tencent had just been established a month ago. What they did was to provide an online paging system for paging stations. The famous penguin had not yet been born. On the internet, everyone was spreading the word the Israeli ICQ, the story of the emergency call for help on the plane, oik, is still in Ma Huiteng's mind. Wang Zhaidong has just uploaded his Sina website this month. On the internet, the excitement is still Sohu, which was established in February, and NetEase, which was established in May, and the 3 portals of Sina. E-commerce has not even seen a shadow. By the way, Lu Qiangdong had just established his JD.com, selling computers and consumables in Zhongguancun. He didn't know yet that these things could actually be sold online. Zhang Chen, the late martyr, became interested and never tired of it. He then asked Zheng Huiyong and others to help build the website of the M-Zone. All the merchants in the M-Zone were put online, and they could all shop online. The transaction volume was also zero. M-Zone, the internet quickly became overgrown, and no one even updated it. Zhang Chen didn't care. He originally built these websites out of curiosity and Zheng Huiyong's idleness and enthusiasm. He had no hope of what this website would bring to him. However, he bought a chassis and server and placed them in the fabric warehouse. The websites of Half Acre Field and M-Zone were moved from China Wanwang to his own server. His next interest was in making a website of the future by himself, that is, the website of the Lakeside Oil Painting Gallery. This time, he declined Zheng Huiyang's help. Anyway, the content of this website was simple, just paintings. I can just do it by myself. I do it slowly and upload 1 or 2 a day, Zhang Chen and Zheng Huiyang said. Zheng Huiyang was surprisingly angry. The future website was what she said at this time. Although it was a vector image, Zhang Chen made each painting extremely large. You can also zoom in to see the details of each picture. Zheng Huiyang was on the modem computer. I tried to open a painting, but failed to do so for more than 10 minutes. Zheng Huiyang asked, "Mr. Zhang, is this website of yours for people to see, or is it torturing people?" Zhang Chen said that if he really wanted to see it, he would just wait slowly. It was worth waiting for half an hour. Zheng Huiyang opened her eyes wide and said, "Mr. Zhang, do you know that it won't open in half an hour or even a day? It will be opened one day," Zhang Chen said. "Okay, Mr. Zhang, do it slowly. This is a website for the future anyway. One day, the internet speed will catch up with your website." Zheng Huiyang said, but she had to admit that when she browsed quickly on the server, this was indeed the most beautiful website she had seen so far. It was completely a work of art. Every frame of the web page looked like so pleasing to the eye. It's a pity that most people can't see this kind of website. By the time He Hongmei took Wenwen and Qian from Beijing to Hangzhou, Zhang Chen's enthusiasm for the website had begun to subside. Anyway, the internet speed can meet his requirements now, and there are too many things to watch online. Zhang Chen even found a chat room called WinChat in the Windows 98 system. In a large list of drop-down menu directories, there are chat rooms from all over the world, including English, Japanese, French, and Arabic. There are also 3 or 4 Chinese ones every day. If you click on them, several Chinese people are chatting inside. Although the chat speed is very slow, you type a sentence, and someone will reply after a minute or 2, but this opened Zhang Chen's eyes, and he felt for the first time that this could still be like this, and he didn't know where in the world he was. His interest quickly shifted to talking to people here, and he would go up there and chat with people every night. Because the chat room is not fixed and needs to be created temporarily by someone every day, the rooms you enter and the people you meet every day are different. From the directory of the row of chat rooms, there is no Chinese room. Zhang Chen will create one himself. After creating it, he is like a fisherman, sitting there waiting for the fish to take the bait. At that time, there were really many people online. At most, after creating a room, there are only 15 people in it at one time, and the normal number is 6 or 7 people. Because of the damn internet speed, everyone's enthusiasm for chatting will soon be extinguished. Everyone will choose the shortest words, talk about it, and then leave. One night, a woman came in. The whole night, there were only 2 of them in the chat room. For an hour, they chatted less than 30 sentences. In these 30 sentences, Zhang Chen knew that the other woman was from Chengdu. The nurse also left her home phone number. Zhang Chen experienced this kind of thing for the first time. He sat there and hesitated for a long time, but still couldn't hold it back. He picked up the phone on the table and dialed. A timid girl's voice rang on the phone. The other party seemed to be waiting for Zhang Chen's call. She was almost nervous. She said hello in a tense voice. Zhang Chen also said hello and there was silence on the phone. Neither of them knew what to say next. Zhang Chen immediately hung up the phone, his heart pounding and his face burning. Fortunately it was late at night, and fortunately he was the only one in the office. This was Zhang Chen's first and only phone call with a netizen, and it ended with 2 hellos. Since then, he has never met or contacted him again. This call ended Zhang Chen's enthusiasm for visiting chat rooms, and he went back to visit art galleries and museums around the world. Zhang Chen regretted that his English was poor, otherwise he would go to those foreign news websites every day to read about foreigners. What are you saying? When He Hongmei brought Wenwen and Qian from Beijing to Hangzhou, Zhang Chen found out that He Hongmei had made an appointment with Xiao Zhao. They happened to have a free time at the end of the year, so they decided to come to Hangzhou for a while. Then Wenwen and Qian went home to celebrate the New Year, and He Hongmei and Xiao Zhao went to Chongqing to celebrate the New Year together. Not only them, Xiao Zhao and Zhang Chen's parents, as well as Tan Shahen, have agreed to go to Chongqing to celebrate the New Year together. Lao Tan wanted to go back to his wife's natal home with the couple and their children. Lu Bang, the founder of the Han Dynasty, wanted to go back to Taipei to celebrate the New Year with his family. Lin Shuwen was alone and didn't want to go back to Taipei, so Xiao Zhao invited her to do the same. Let's go to Chongqing to celebrate the New Year together. Okay, thank you, Xiao Zhao. Lin Shuwen said. Lu Ligan found out and shouted, "This is unreasonable. How can you leave me behind? I want to go too." Xiao Zhao asked He Hongmei, "Is it okay?" He Hongmei said, "Okay, my villa can be decorated by my parents. Let's take a look there. My parents, He Dongmei, me, and you, we have 4 villas, which can accommodate as many people as possible." Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan said that you can go, but you must bring Lao Lu and your mother with you. What are they going to do? Lu Ligan said. Yes, they can stay at my house. All 6 old people live there. It's so lively. We young people can all live at Hongmei's place, Xiao Zhao said. Lu Ligan had no choice but to agree. With so many people, this was a chartered flight, he said. He Hongmei immediately called back and asked her parents to sort out all the rooms in her villa. Meng Ping knew their plan and shouted, "You must take this lonely old man with you. No matter what, I am fine anyway. I will come to Hangzhou tomorrow to hang out with you, and then return to Nanjing after the Spring Festival." The next day, Meng Ping actually came. With so many people gathered together, it was lively. Especially Wenwen and Qian, when they saw Lu Ligan, they teased him, "Do you want to relive their old dreams? Shall we tell you the room number of International Building?" Lu Ligan looked at Tan Shahen, who was not far away, and smiled. Tan Shahen pretended not to hear what they were saying. Zhang Chen asked Meng Ping, "Are you really closing?" Meng Ping said that this person is idle, and it seems that the more idle he is, the less motivated he is to fight. Now he is a little scared when he thinks about doing things. Then just rest, being able to do nothing is also a state. Zhang Chen smiled. Before Han Emperor Lu Bang and Lao Tan left, of course they had to get together once, and they still put them in the big box in Tianxiang Tower. Wu Ziyawai, Wei Venfang, Chu Tianlin, and Xiaoan also came. Zhang Chen and He Hongmei were sitting there. Xiao Zhao's car went there. Tan Shahen was driving, and Lu Ligan wanted to sit in the passenger seat, but Wenwen and Qian held him back. The 2 people had to pull him to the back seat, sandwiching him in the middle, and kept rubbing him, causing Lu Ligan to her face turned red, and Wenwen shouted, Mr. Tan, look, this man can actually blush." Tan Shahen looked in the rearview mirror. Sure enough, Tan Shahen smiled and shook her head. Lu Ligan cursed at Wenwen, "Have you been so hummed up by a bodybuilder that your brain is disabled?" "What kind of bodybuilder?" Qian said. "Wenwen is currently playing football or the national team." "No wonder, I get stinky feet every day, not only 250, but 250, Lu Ligan laughed. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao and He Hongmei got out of the car and walked to the lobby on the first floor of Tianxiang Building. They unexpectedly met Lao Ni with his assistant and 5 people from his financial business department. The Asian financial crisis is almost over. They have made a lot of money during this crisis. The new year is about to come. Of course, Lao Ni will reward the entire financial business department and give everyone a bank card with different amounts in it. At first sight, Zhang Chen and Chen Yakin were stunned for a moment, and then they came to their senses. Chen Yakin and Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Hello." Zhang Chen also said hello to Chen Yakin. Xiao Zhao immediately understood who this woman was. She smiled and nodded to Chen Yakin. Lu Ligan, Tan Shahen, and Wen Wenqian came in from outside, and everyone called together. When Lu Ligan asked, by coincidence, Lao Ni and the others were in the box next to them. "Let's go upstairs together." "Thank you, Tin Soldier, who reads books every day, and is ranked third from top to bottom for your monthly votes. Thank you for your monthly passes to IG, running with a smile, and the road less traveled. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 1039. This meal was very lively, and the two private rooms soon ate together. First, Lao Ni came to toast. There were still empty seats here. Chu Tianlin and Lu Ligan asked Lao Ni to sit. Lao Ni, this rotten ass, sat down. He didn't leave until he got down. He had something to say to the people in this room. He had nothing to say to the 6 women over there, who were still his subordinates. After Lao Ni didn't reply for a long time, his assistant came over to see him. Only then did Lao Ni think that it would not be good to leave Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin, the 2 gods of wealth, there. Seeing that there was still an empty seat here, he asked the waiter to add another one, so he simply called the assistant, went over to accompany the other 3 people and called Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin over. "Anyway, the person you shouldn't have met has already been met, so it doesn't matter." So, there were only 4 girls left in the box over there, and they continued to eat. The box over here was very crowded, and there were extra seats. Fortunately, the table was big enough. There were 18 people on the table, and 19 people could sit there. Doesn't look crowded. Chu Tianlin also asked Lao Ni's assistant to bring one of the cakes Wang Minsheng brought to the box next door. Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin came over and sat down. They were a little reserved at first, but after a few rounds of drinks, they relaxed. With Wenwen, Lu Ligan, Erkuo, and Wu Zia, why so many live treasures, the atmosphere in the box was, it's impossible to be dull. After drinking happily, Wenwen stood up and sang a piece of Yu opera at the invitation of everyone. Lao Ni, who is a fan of Yu opera, was so excited when he heard it. Then Tan Shahen got up and sang a piece of Wu opera, which also won everyone's applause. Even Lin Shuwen stood up and sang 2 Taiwanese songs in Taiwanese, and everyone was excited. Only Chen Yakin glanced at Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao opposite, feeling sad in her heart. When she raised her head, she smiled on her face, and when she lowered her head, she felt sad. But in the excitement and joy of the masses, this can be ignored. It's hard to enjoy this kind of wine. After drinking here, everyone went to the KTV. Today, they didn't call the ladies, so they played by themselves. At the KTV, Lao Ni finally got the chance and sang 18 Farewell with Wenwen. He sang with excitement, wishing that he could green lotus leaves in the clear water pond, and the mandarin ducks come in pairs again. Tan Shahen was not to be outdone. When she got here, she simply sang I Love You, China, and made everyone go crazy. How could this be so sacred? Even Lu Ligan didn't know that Tan Shahen could sing so well. They were at the KTV and sang until about 2 o'clock. Then a group of people went to Longxiang Bridge for supper. By the time they had the supper, it was already 4 o'clock. In a few hours, Lu Bang and Wang Minsheng, the founders of Han Dynasty, will fly to Hong Kong and return to Taipei. Lao Tan and Erhuo will also drive out. This time they are taking their children with them. It is too cold on the road. What they are driving is not Lao Tan's Beijing Jeep, was Zhang Chen's Santana. Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin went back to Meishai. They lived in two houses facing each other. Meng Ping sent them there. The two got off the car and walked to the elevator. Chen Yakin reached out and pressed the up button, and the elevator came down from the upper floor. Standing there, Chen Yakin suddenly burst into tears, which shocked Ren Rongrong. She was still crying after entering the elevator, and she was still crying when she got upstairs. Ren Rongrong kept asking, "What's wrong with you, Yakin?" "It's okay, no problem." Chen Yakin waved her hand, entered her room, and closed the door. Ren Rongrong stood there, stunned for a while, and cursed, "This old pervert." She thought that Chen Yakin must have become angry when she saw Lao Ni taking his assistant with him and staring at Wen Wen so lustfully. When He Hongmei woke up, it was already noon. She walked outside to the living room and saw Xiao Zhao sitting there watching TV. Zhang Chen had left. He Hongmei asked strangely, "Isn't today Sunday?" Xiao Zhao told her that he went to the office to surf the internet, and now he is really addicted to the internet. "Can't we use it at home?" He Hongmei asked. "I don't think there is a computer in the studio." Xiao Zhao smiled and said, "He thinks the internet speed is too slow." The two of them went downstairs and went to Zhang Chen's parents' house for lunch, and then sent Xiang Nan to the north to play ball in the arena. After sending the child to the arena, the two of them walked through the small door and went to Zhang Chen's office. They found that Zhang Chen was not surfing the internet, but sitting on the sofa chatting with Lu Ligan and Meng Ping. Zhang Chen occupied the single sofa at both ends, while Lu Ligan sat on the long sofa. Seeing He Hongmei, Lu Ligan patted the sofa next to him and shouted, "Come on, Sichuan girl, come and sit here." He Hongmei walked to Zhang Chen's desk, turned the chair around, and sat down. Lu Ligan glared at her and cursed, "Why are you afraid that I will eat you?" He Hongmei and Lu Ligan said, "I want to stay away from you, the Chinese New Year is coming soon, safety first." Others laughed. Xiao Zhao walked over, squeezed into Zhang Chen's single sofa, and sat with him. Meng Ping asked He Hongmei how it was in Beijing and whether it was fun to deal with those celebrities every day. "I'm disgusted," He Hongmei said, "there are not many good people. They all look like dogs and are very dirty in private. If it weren't for work, I really don't want to deal with them." "You are biased, Sichuan girl," Lu Ligan said. "Yes, it's just prejudice. It's a pity that I can't see anyone who can correct me. Some people used to admire me in my heart, but after getting familiar with them, I feel that I was stupid before and was confused by the image they created on the screen and on the screen. No, I know that inside and outside the drama are two different things," He Hongmei said. "Look, another Little Red Riding Hood who was hit hard by reality," Lu Ligan said. He Hongmei asked, "Meng Ping, how is your tallest building in the country? I saw it on TV. It's very spectacular. Similar to you, I thought what would happen before I built it. After I built it, I walked to the top of the building to take a look, and then walked down. I felt calm and felt that it was completely different from what I imagined. I didn't feel excited at all." "Okay, now we have a pair of Little Red Riding Hoods," Meng Ping said, and Lu Ligan shouted. "This is probably the reason why I can no longer be motivated," Meng Ping said. "I feel like my career has come to an end, and it's just mediocre." Xiao Zhao asked, "Why are you so negative?" "That's right, especially this Lao man," Lu Ligan said. "Before our Hangcheng Center was completed, he came over and said something like this." Meng Ping laughed and asked, "Then what else do you want? After you finish building it, you can climb to the top of the building and write 'Lu Ligan is here for a visit' without being caught by the security guards." "Why can't I write a few sentences?" Lu Ligan said. Someone knocked on the door. Zhang Chen said, "Come in." The door opened, and Tan Shuhen walked in. She walked over to He Hungmei, turned the other chair around, and sat down. Zhang Chen, Xiao Zhao and Meng Ping looked at her and then at Lu Ligan, and couldn't help laughing. Tan Shuhen asked curiously, "Why are you laughing?" He Hungmei nodded towards Lu Ligan and said to Tan Shuhen, "Sister Shuhen, they are laughing. If you come in, they won't dare to let you sit on the side." Zhang Chen, Xiao Zhao and Meng Ping laughed, Lu Ligan also smiled awkwardly, and Tan Shuhen asked He Hungmei, "Did he harass you?" He Hungmei said, "He doesn't have the ability yet." "That's right, when I meet a Sichuan girl, I am always the one who gets insulted," Lu Ligan shouted. Tan Shuhen thought of the scene in the car yesterday and asked, "Did you meet Wen Wen and Qian Qian?" Lu Ligan chuckled. Tan Shuhen showed them the scene in the car yesterday, and several of them felt their stomachs hurt from laughing. Meng Ping shouted, "Pol, I didn't expect you to have such a pure side." "They are too fierce and were completely led astray by the Sichuan girl," Lu Ligan laughed. While everyone was talking, the door opened and Wen Wen and Qian Qian walked in. Wen Wen saw that only Lu Ligan had an empty seat, so she walked straight over, slapped Lu Ligan on the thigh, and shouted, "Sit over a little bit." Lu Ligan moved his body, and Wen Wen sat down. Just as Lu Ligan sat down, Qian Qian slapped his other thigh and said to him, "Give me." Then he sat down on the other side of Lu Lipol. The people here couldn't hold it back, they laughed so much that Zhang Chen said with a smile, "Okay, Pol, you are the Burger King again." Everyone laughed even harder. Wen Wen and Qian Qian were sitting there, and they laughed inexplicably. After a while, they understood what Burger King was. Both of them turned to look at Lu Ligan, smiling with good intentions. Lu Ligan knew something was wrong and quickly shouted, "Let him go, let him go." He begged the two ladies to spare their lives. Wen Wen and Qian Qian, in unison, raised their buttocks a little, and then bumped towards Lu Lipol. Lu Lipol grinned. Qian Qian touched her butt and said, "It's not worth it. It hurts me." After everyone had laughed, Wen Wen asked Xiao Zhao, "Sister Xiao Zhao, do you have anything to eat? I'm starving to death." Qian Qian is such a die-hard girl. As soon as she got downstairs, she had to go shopping. After shopping for a long time, she didn't even have a poop. "If you buy it, your stomach will be full from shopping." Wen Wen scolded Qian Qian, and Qian Qian shook her head and smiled proudly. Lu Ligan scolded, "Isn't there food down there? Fast food, dumplings, a la carte, everything. You must come up here to cheat." Qian Qian giggled, and Wen Wen scolded, "I want you to take care of it." Qian Qian said, "When we get here, of course we have to come up to eat the boss's food. Isn't it a big loss if we eat box lunches down there?" Xiao Zhao looked at Meng Ping and asked, "Brother Meng, have you eaten?" Meng Ping shook his head and said, "No, your husband is too stingy. We have been sitting here for a long time and he just didn't mention eating." Xiao Zhao looked at Zhang Chen, laughed, and stood up. Zhang Chen said, "I didn't get here just after 10 o'clock and just had breakfast. My stomach is still full." "You're a full man and you don't care if we're hungry," Meng Ping scolded. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "You want to eat, do you still need me to shout? I thought you weren't even hungry." Wen Wen and Meng Ping said, quickly, "Mr. Meng, thank me. If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't have starved to death alive." Okay, thank you." Meng Ping smiled. There, Xiao Zhao was already on the phone, asking the canteen down below to cook and prepare rice. Thank you to Pai Wu Sun and the monthly pass for the road less traveled. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1040. When Lu Ligan's mother heard that she was going to Chongqing to celebrate the New Year by plane, she immediately became happy. She quickly asked Lu Ligan if she was going to her in-laws' house. Lu Ligan was shocked and quickly told his mother that he and He Hongmei had nothing to do with each other, let alone boyfriend and girlfriend. Don't talk nonsense when you get to others, and don't talk nonsense when you see He Hongmei, otherwise everyone will be embarrassed. I know, old Lu said, you just still like that oil bottle. This meant that Tan Shahen was talking about it. Lu Ligan was breaking into a cold sweat. He was scolding Zhang Chen in his heart, you found this out. If you take these two people to Chongqing, you are not bringing two bombs. He could make people unhappy at any time, but he couldn't afford to offend Tan Shahen and He Hongmei. He hoped they could spend this new year in peace. Fortunately, Lao Lu then said something, which made Lu Lapole feel a little relieved. Lao Lu said, Zhen Zhen is not a bad person. I will drag the oil bottle as much as I can, and it will be enough for you. When Lu Ligan's mother heard it, she just snorted and didn't react much. Lu Ligan was relieved. Anyway, from the time he first fell in love with Tan Shahen, Lu Ligan's mother knew that Lao Tan and his family were against Tan Shahen. When she was with him, his mother started humming like this and kept humming until today, neither upgrading nor downgrading. It looked like nothing would be a big deal. When the two of them saw Xiang Nan, they both liked it, which was good. A dozen of them arrived in Chongqing. He Dongmei and his wife drove a van and a car to pick them up at the airport. After driving for more than an hour, we arrived at the villa area of Xiao Zhao and his family. The car drove to Xiao Zhao and his family first. Xiao Zhao's parents and younger siblings were already standing outside the gate waiting for them. At first glance, even Xiao Zhao and Zhang Chen were shocked. Their younger sister, Xiao Fang, was already a grown-up girl. She was already in her third year of high school and would take the college entrance examination in July this year. Xiao Fang and Xiao Zhao look very similar. The older they get, the more they resemble each other. They are like poured out of the same mold. No one needs to introduce them. Everyone can tell that she is Xiao Zhao's younger sister. She may have gone to school in the city for a few years. The reason is that he seems to have matured a lot. My younger brother, Xiaoshu, has also entered the second grade of junior high school. He has grown a lot taller and is no longer the slug. Zhang Chen and the others got off the car. His brother and sister were no longer like before. They came over immediately and crowded around Xiao Zhao on the left and right. The two of them stood there and shyly called sister and then Zhang. Brother-in-law Chen and his younger brother stood there, looking at them and smiling. My sister came closer, holding Xiao Zhao's hand, with a blush on her face and standing there with her mouth pouted. Looking at his grown-up brother and sister, Xiao Zhao suddenly felt sour and almost shed tears for some reason. Of course, Xiang Nan and Xiang Bei still remember their uncles and aunts here, but they have grown up so much that they have indeed grown into uncles and aunts, and are no longer the two little friends. This made them a little afraid to recognize them. The two of them stood there timidly, smiling sillily at the uncle and aunt. Xiao Fang stretched out her other hand to hold Xiang Nan's hand. This made Xiang Nan quickly no more timidity. The younger brother came over and asked Zhang Xiangbei if he would like to play with me. Xiangbei nodded, and the two of them ran away, not to the yard, but to the community. There were so many people here, and it suddenly became lively. Those who knew each other greeted each other affectionately, and those who did not know each other quickly introduced them to each other. When Zhang Chen's father saw Xiao Zhao's father, the first thing he asked was, "Are you still going to do this now?" As he spoke, he made a fist with his right hand, raised it up, and made a gesture of picking something. Before Xiao Zhao's father could say anything, Xiao Zhao's mother grabbed it and said, "Yes, yes, I will still go there every day." Father he and mother he didn't know whether it was because they heard the noise here or Xiaoshu led Xiangbei and ran to tell them. The two of them also rushed over. The gate, which had been quiet just now, became lively again. Everyone went in together and saw Grandma sitting on a deck chair basking in the sun at the door inside, and greeted them one by one. According to the prior arrangement, Zhang Chen's parents and Lu Ligan's parents live here. The head of Niu Township and his family will also arrive tomorrow. She will be the leading role in the New Year's Eve dinner, so they also live here. He Hongmei saw Xiaofang standing behind the crowd, listening to them arranging accommodation, looking a little gloomy. Knowing what she was thinking, He Hongmei walked over and said to her, "Yaomei, you can live with me and sleep with me." My sister immediately became happy. Everyone here has been arranged, and the luggage is taken into the room. Then we go to He Hongmei's villa and arrange the other people. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao share a room, Tan Shehan and Xiang Nan share a room, and Lu Ligan and Xiang Bei share a room. Meng Ping shares a room, Lin Shuwen shares a room, and her sister Xiaofang lives with He Hongmei. The younger brother brought Xiangbei back home, but he didn't see them. He hurried over again and heard their arrangements. He immediately quit. He also wanted to live here. Arrangements came and went. As a result, Lu Ligan and Meng Ping sleeping, my brother and Xiangbei lived in the same room. There were so many people who wanted to eat, and it was definitely impossible to do it. That night, everyone went to the restaurant in front of the community to eat. When Nyuk Xiang arrived the next day, they were not allowed to go to the restaurant to eat. Zhang Chen's mother saw, feeling sorry for herself, she asked her how could so many people do this. Don't be afraid, said the head of Niu Township, I can make food for more people in the township than this. Hearing the car horn at the door, everyone walked out and saw Daddy coming back with a small truck, asking everyone to help unload the truck. Everyone hurried over and saw that he bought a large tent and said it was set up in the yard. Lu Ligan and Meng Ping carried the tent to the yard. Daddy didn't know yet, but he borrowed 3 round tabletops and chairs, as well as a basket of plates and bowls from a hotel that was closed during the spring festival. Mayor Niu laughed when he saw it and shouted, I am still worried about these things. Brother, I will find these and they will be ready. Everyone was busy unloading all the things from the car and carrying them into the yard. Zhang Chen directed Lu Ligan and Meng Ping to set up the tent in the yard, put the table and chairs into the tent, covered the table with a white tablecloth, then pulled in the wires and installed the light bulbs. The other end of the wires, plug it into the socket by the pool in the yard, just like a restaurant. You can take down the canvas around the tent during the day, and hang it back up at night when it's windy and cold. The younger brother shouted, I can stay here tonight. Xiao Zhao glared at him and he immediately shut up. Zhang Chen and He Hongmei both thought of the incident of several children sleeping in tents that year and laughed. As for the kitchen, He Hongmei's parents' house is close to here, so Mayor Niu uses both kitchens. The He family's place is specially used for stews, and the Xiao Zhao family's place is used for cooking. In the He family, all it takes is He's mother to help watch the fire. As for washing vegetables and dishes, that's not a problem. There are Xiao Zhao's mother, He Hongmei's grandmother and grandmother, and the aunt who competes with them for hygiene. Even Zhang Chen's mother and Lu Ligan's mother were not able to help if they wanted to. When it was time to start dinner, the most diligent people were Xiao Zhao's father and Zhang Chen's father. They shuttled around the community, constantly carrying cooked dishes from He's house. Old Lu wanted to help, but Zhang Chen's father didn't let him. He was worried that he, who had been half drunk all day long, would not fall down on the road together with the casserole. He placed a chair next to Xiao Zhao's grandma and asked Lao Lu to sit there, drink and bask in the sun. Lao Lu sat there, drinking and chatting with Xiao Zhao's grandmother. Normal people couldn't understand half of his words, let alone Xiao Zhao's grandmother. She didn't understand a word of it. However, out of politeness, she kept nodding. Xiao Zhao's grandmother also said something to old Lu, but old Lu didn't understand a word, so he smiled at her. Xiao Zhao's grandmother thought he understood. The two of them were talking words that the other could not understand, and they were sitting there enjoying themselves. Xiao Zhao's mother was surprised. She looked at them from a distance and asked Zhang Chen's mother and Lu Ligan's mother, why do they talk so much? What she was thinking was that even with her, her mother couldn't speak more than 10 words a day. Why did she talk so much when she saw this Zhejiang native? The two mothers were also surprised, but no one paid any attention to them. They just talked about whatever they wanted. They themselves still had to find work. The three hard-working old people of the He family had already found work from their own homes. Finding them here gave them a sense of crisis. With so many old people at home, Zhang Chen and the young people in this house had nothing to do. He Hongmei simply drove a van and took them out for a trip and bought a lot of food. Finally having time to be alone together, Xiao Zhao asked Xiao Fang, Yao Mei, how are your grades? Xiao Fang nodded. The college entrance examination is coming soon, are you sure? Xiao Fang said yes. Have you ever thought about where you want to go to college? Xiao Zhao asked. Xiao Fang blushed and said to her, sister, I want to go to Hangzhou. Okay, Xiao Zhao exclaimed happily, if you get admitted to Zhejiang University, you won't even have to live on campus. My sister's home is only a few hundred meters away from Zhejiang University. You can live at home and ride a bicycle every day. Just go to school. Xiao Fang nodded. When his younger brother Ziyashu came over, Xiao Zhao stopped asking him about his studies. His grades would definitely not improve, but instead asked, has he gotten into any trouble, did the teacher come to the house? The younger brother quickly shook his head, said no, and walked away with an unhappy face. The younger brother was hit by Xiao Zhao and walked away. He took a sketchbook, went to Zhang Chen and handed him the sketchbook. Zhang Chen opened it and took a look. He saw that each one was a war scene. Such a complicated and chaotic scene, but his brother actually arranged it in a relaxed way. Zhang Chen was surprised and asked his brother, what is this? Are they all painted by you? The younger brother nodded. Did you learn from the teacher? The younger brother shook his head. Xiao Zhao, Hongmei, come here quickly, Zhang Chen called to Xiao Zhao and the others. Xiao Zhao and He Hongmei both walked over. Zhang Chen showed them the sketchbook. He Hongmei exclaimed, it's amazing. Little tree, did you draw it? The younger brother nodded. Xiao Zhao couldn't believe that her younger brother could actually draw. What she didn't know was that after Xiao Zhao brought Zhang Chen to their house for the first time, his younger brother took care of Zhang Chen every day. Gradually, he could draw the pictures he was given. It's awesome. I haven't learned it from the teacher yet, Zhang Chen said with a smile. Hongmei, I'll leave this to you. Okay, I have a classmate who is a teacher at the high school affiliated to Sichuan University. He also holds classes. Ziyashu, would you like to learn painting with him every week? He Hongmei said. My brother said yes.